Imagine this scenario. It's, let's say, 6:45 in the morning. Your room is completely pitch black. And then suddenly a light in the corner just starts to glow. It's a soft amber color, kind of like a sunrise.
But it's not the sun.
Not at all. It's your smart bulb. And it's been triggered by the sleep cycle tracker on your wrist, which, detected that you were in a light stage of sleep, and it decided that now was I guess, the mathematically optimal moment to wake you.
Efficient. Very efficient.
Extremely. So you roll over, you don't, look out the window to check the weather, you glance at a widget on your phone, you don't wonder what happened in the world overnight, you just scroll through a feed that has already sorted the news based on what you clicked on yesterday.
It already knows what you're worried about.
It knows exactly. So you get in your car and you don't even think about the route. You just obey that little blue line on the dashboard. You get to the office, you sit down, you drink a coffee that a subscription service predicted you would run out of 2 days ago and automatically ship to your door. And you think to yourself, okay, I'm ready to seize the day.
But the real question is, whose day are you actually seizing?
That is precisely what we were wrestling with today. Because on the surface, that whole morning routine sounds perfect, right? It's frictionless, it's totally optimized. But we are looking at a stack of research today, all centered around this massive analysis titled The Algorithmic Nudge, that suggests something very different is going on.
It suggests that frictionless might actually be a kind of trap.
And we're talking about the invisible nudge. I want to be really clear right from the start. We're not just talking about those creepy targeted ads, where you're talking about cat food and then 5 minutes later you see a Purina banner on a website.
No, that's beginner stuff. That's the tip of the iceberg, really.
Yeah.
What we're diving into today is how artificial intelligence has moved beyond just automating your tasks, like, I don't know, washing your dishes or routing your emails.
Yeah.
And it started automating your autonomy.
Automating autonomy. That is a heavy phrase. Let's unpack that a little bit before we go any further.
It is heavy. And it's really the core of this source material.
Yeah.
Autonomy, at its root, is just the capacity to make an uncoerced decision. It's the definition of being a free agent in the world. But what this research argues is that AI has introduced a new kind of coercion. It's not a gun to your head.
Right.
It's not a locked door. It's convenience. It's like a velvet rope in a nightclub that guides you so gently you don't even realize you're walking in a perfectly straight line to a predetermined spot.
So today we are going to try and pull back the curtain on this invisible hand. We've got a roadmap that covers 3 really distinct areas of your life where this is happening right now. First up, we're calling it the media mirror, how your taste in art, in music, and even the news you read is being well engineered.
And we're going to get into the math behind why you literally cannot stop doom scrolling. It's not a willpower thing.
Oh, good. I feel better already. Second, the street and the heart. This is how algorithms are physically moving our bodies through traffic and maybe even more alarmingly deciding who you fall in love with. And third, the wallet. The invisible financial gift-keepers that can determine your entire economic destiny.
And then, because we don't want to leave you in a state of paranoid paralysis,
Right.
we'll finish up with the philosophy of what choice even means anymore.
Uh-huh.
And then we'll get into some actual practical strategies you can use to sort of hack the system and get your brain back.
I have to admit, when I first started reading through these sources, my first reaction was a little defensive. I like my GPS. I like that Netflix knows I enjoy 90s action movies. Is it? Is it really that bad if the machine knows what I want, maybe even better than I do?
And that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And to really answer it, we have to understand how it knows what you want. Because it's not magic, it's math. It's just statistics at a massive scale. And the way that math is structured, it has side effects, unintended consequences that we are only just starting to grapple with.
Okay, so let's start where most of us feel it every single day. Let's start with the screen, the media mirror. We're talking Spotify, Netflix, TikTok, YouTube, the recommendation engine.
Right. Now, I think most people have a vague idea of how this works. You watch a sci-fi movie, the system goes, oh, here's another sci-fi movie.
Simple pattern matching, cause and effect.
That's how it started, yeah. But the source material breaks down the modern engine into 2 incredibly sophisticated filtering systems that work together. And if we really want to understand the nudge, we have to get our heads around these 2 terms: content-based filtering and collaborative filtering.
Okay, let's peel them apart. Content-based filtering, that sounds a lot like what I just described.
It's the evolution of it. It's much, much deeper. Content-based filtering analyzes the DNA of the item itself. So let's take a song on Spotify. The algorithm doesn't just know the genre is pop. That's a crude label. It analyzes the tempo, the key, The danceability score, the acousticness score, the lyrical sentiment.
Wait, danceability is a real metric.
Oh, absolutely. It measures how suitable a track is for dancing based on things like tempo stability, rhythm strength, and beat regularity. It turns that song into what's called a vector, basically a long string of numbers that represents its core identity.
So it's not just looking for sad songs. It's looking for songs with a tempo of 120 beats per minute in a C minor key with sparse instrumentation and a lyrical theme of, I don't know, loss.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It creates a mathematical fingerprint. And then its job is to scan its database of tens of millions of songs to find other fingerprints that have a similar mathematical structure.
Mm.
It's matching the ingredients of the media, not the label on the box. If you like the chemical composition of this cake, it predicts you'll like this other cake, even if it looks totally different.
Okay, that makes sense. Honestly, that feels fine. It's just a really, really good librarian who knows the books inside and out.
Sure. But then you have to layer on the second system. This is where it gets a little weird. Collaborative filtering. This system doesn't look at the content at all. It doesn't care if it's a song or a movie or a pair of shoes. It only looks at the crowd.
The collaborative part, the people.
Yes. The core assumption is that if you and I agree on 5 things, we will probably agree on a 6th. So let's say you and I both watched The Godfather and gave it 5 stars, and we both listened to the album OK Computer by Radiohead. The system flags this. It groups us together. In the data map of all users, we are now neighbors.
Okay, so we're data neighbors. We're hanging out in the same little data-driven cul-de-sac.
Exactly. Now, let's say I go out tomorrow and I buy a very specific brand of organic, fair trade coffee. The system sees that purchase. It looks over at you, my data neighbor, and sees, you've never bought this coffee. But because we are neighbors in almost every other respect, it predicts there is a, say, 94% probability that you will also like that coffee. So what does it do?
It pushes an ad to me.
Instantly, it nudges you towards that coffee.
Even though I've never expressed any interest in coffee online. Maybe I'm a tea drinker.
It doesn't matter. People like you have shown interest. It's crowdsourced prediction. It's using the behavior of millions of strangers to predict your future desires. And when you combine these two systems, the DNA of the content, the behavior of the crowd, you get an engine that feels less like a librarian and more like it's reading your mind.
But the source material brings up this really crucial concept called the feedback loop. And this is where the nudge really, really kicks in. Because these systems, they aren't static, are they? They're learning.
No, they are intensely dynamic. This is the reinforcement learning aspect of it. Think of the algorithm like a dog you're training. Every single time you click on something, you give it a treat. You watch a video to the end, treat. You listen to a song all the way through without skipping, big treat. You skip a song after 10 seconds.
Punishment. You took the treat away.
Exactly, you took the treat away. So the algorithm is constantly learning what behaviors get it the most treats. And its one and only goal is to optimize for maximum treats. But here is the critical part. The algorithm is lazy. Or, to be more precise, it's efficient. It quickly realizes that the easiest, most reliable way to get you to click is to show you something very similar to what you've already clicked on before.
So if I click on one video about I don't know, political conspiracy theory.
The dog thinks, oh, they love conspiracy theories. This is an easy treat. So it says, here are 10 more. And because you now see 10 more options, the odds are pretty high. You're going to click on at least one of them. And when you do, the dog thinks, I was right. This is the good stuff. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
So it's not trying to expand my worldview, it's trying to narrow it.
It's a concept in computer science called exploitation versus exploration. An ideal system would balance both. It would exploit your known preferences sometimes, but other times it would explore and show you something totally new. But most commercial systems are heavily biased towards exploitation because it's safer. It guarantees more clicks.
And over time, this creates that phrase from the source that really stuck with me. Preemptive decision-making.
Yes, that's the end game.
I realized recently that I don't really search for music anymore. I used to go to record stores. I used to read music blogs, magazines. Now, I open Spotify, and the first thing I see is a daily mix that's been made just for me. And I just hit play.
You've stopped searching. You've started accepting. The source highlights this shift as one of the most profound changes in human behavior in the last decade, from active search to passive consumption.
But is that inherently a bad thing, or is it just convenient? I mean, I'm busy. I don't always have 2 hours to hunt for new bands like I did when I was 17.
It is absolutely convenient. No one is denying that. But the hidden cost is diversity and agency. When you outsource the act of discovery to an engine that is optimized for sameness, you lose the chance to encounter the unexpected. You lose the happy accident.
The serendipity of stumbling upon something.
Right. You are only ever seeing the things that the machine is 99% sure you will like.
Yeah.
Which means you are never challenged. You never develop a taste for something that's a little difficult or, an acquired taste. It's the cultural equivalent of a diet of candy. It tastes good, but it's not nourishing.
And the ultimate example of this, the source calls it the heavyweight champion of preemptive decision-making, is TikTok.
The For You page, the FYP.
Just the name itself, For You, it's so personal, so inviting.
It's a stroke of genius. And it's also terrifying. The analysis in the source points out that TikTok fundamentally changed the game because it removed the choice step almost entirely. On Netflix, you still have to scroll through a menu and pick a movie. On YouTube, you have to click on a thumbnail. On TikTok, you open the app and the video's already playing.
You don't choose, you only veto. Your only action is to swipe away if you don't like it.
Exactly. The default state is consumption, not selection. And the algorithm that powers that feed is hyper-aggressive. It measures everything. Did you watch it twice? Did you pause on it for a fraction of a second? Did you send it to a friend? Did you read the comments? It can build a terrifyingly accurate profile of your psyche in just a few minutes of use.
It feels like we're moving toward a world where we don't really know what we want until the machine shows it to us. It creates the desire and fulfills it in the same instant.
There's a quote in the source material that gave me chills when I read it. It asks, if the machine predicts the desire before you articulate it, is it really your desire? Or is it a planted suggestion that you've adopted as your own?
That's a deep question. If I hand you a sandwich right before you realize you're hungry and you eat it, were you actually hungry?
Or did I just trigger a consumption reflex? It completely blurs the line between I want this and this is what is available to me right now.
Okay, so that's the screen. That's the digital world. And I think we can all feel that to some degree. We've all been in that YouTube hole at 1 a.m. But the source makes a pivot here that I found really jarring. It moves from the digital, from the world of ideas and media, to the physical world.
From the media mirror to the street.
Right, because it's one thing if an algorithm suggests a movie I didn't ask for. It's a totally different thing if it starts to change physical reality. Let's talk about the commute. Google Maps, Waze, Apple Maps.
This is a classic example of a conflict between system optimization and individual optimization.
Yeah, okay, explain that distinction.
Right, so these mapping apps use something called graph neural networks. They see the entire city as a massive web of nodes, which are intersections, and edges, which are roads. Each road has a weight, which is the time it takes to travel down it. The goal of the app, for you, the user, is to get you from point A to point B using the path with the lowest total weight, the fastest time.
Which I, as a driver, really appreciate.
Of course, everyone does. But the algorithm has what you could call a God's eye view. It sees everything at once. It sees traffic building up on the main highway. So to optimize the flow of the entire system, it looks for alternative capacity. And it sees a small residential street, a quiet neighborhood street.
Elm Street.
Right. Elm Street, a street that was designed for maybe 20 cars an hour. Kids are playing ball in their yards. People are out walking their dogs. The algorithm runs a calculation. If I divert 500 cars off the highway and send them through Elm Street, I can save each of those drivers 3 minutes. For the system as a whole, it's a huge win in efficiency.
So it does it. It just reroutes them.
It nudges. It paints the blue line right through the heart of that neighborhood. And in an instant, the physical reality of Elm Street is fundamentally changed. It's flooded with noise, with pollution, with frustrated drivers who are now speeding to make up that time.
And the craziest thing, the part that really gets me, is that none of those 500 drivers chose to invade that neighborhood.
Not a single one. They're just following instructions. Turn left in 200 feet. If you were to stop one of those drivers and ask them, why are you driving down this quiet residential road? They wouldn't say, well, I analyzed the aggregate traffic patterns and made a strategic decision to alleviate congestion. They'd say,
The phone told me to.
the phone told me to. We are like blood cells in a vein. The algorithm is the heart, pumping us around the city. We just flow where the pressure is lowest, where the path is easiest.
It really highlights how quickly we yield our authority to the machine because we trust its competence. We just assume it knows best. And from a purely mathematical perspective, it does know best, but only if the only variable you care about is speed.
But the people who live on Elm Street care about safety. They care about noise. They care about their property values. And the algorithm, by default, doesn't have a variable for neighborhood peace and quiet unless the programmers explicitly add one and give it a weight. It's a classic alignment problem. The machine's stated goal, which is speed, is not perfectly aligned with the overall human goal, which is a livable city.
And this gets even more intimate, even more personal, when we start to talk about the social nudge. The source goes into detail about how AI is now curating our human relationships. We're talking Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, and even LinkedIn for our professional lives.
The source calls this curating destiny.
That sounds a little dramatic.
It is dramatic, but think about the mechanism for a second. When you open a dating app, you have this illusion that you're seeing a representative sample of who is single in my area. You absolutely are not.
I'm just seeing a list of people.
You are seeing a queue, a highly curated, ranked, and ordered list. And the order of that list can literally change your life. The person at the top of that queue is someone the algorithm has decided you are very likely to match with. The person at position 500. You will never see them. You get tired of swiping or run out of time long before you get there.
So who decides the order of the queue? What's the logic?
Well, the algorithm decides. And for a long time, many of these apps used a system based on something called an ELO score.
Like in chess, the rating system for chess players.
It's exactly like in chess. It's a system designed to rank players in a competitive game. In chess, if you beat a grandmaster, your ELO score goes way up. If you lose to a novice, your score plummets. In the world of dating apps, a match, where both people swipe right, is a win. A swipe left is a loss.
Oh, wow. So if a lot of people swipe right on my profile, my desirability score goes up.
Yes, and if people who are themselves highly ranked swipe right on you, your score goes up even more. It's a huge boost. The algorithm then tries to match people with similar ELO scores. It's trying to set up fair fights. But what that does in practice is it groups the high desirability users together and the low desirability users together.
It creates an invisible caste system.
That's a very good way to put it. An invisible data-driven caste system. The algorithm is effectively saying you are a 7, so you're only allowed to see other 6s, 7s, and 8s. You will never even be shown the profiles of the 9s and 10s.
That is profoundly depressing. But it's also terrifying from an autonomy perspective. Because what if my soulmate, the person I would actually build a great life with, is statistically an outlier? What if the algorithm thinks they aren't my type because they don't fit the neat pattern of my past behavior or my ELO score?
Then you don't see them. Period. They are filtered out of your reality.
Yeah.
The source argues that this creates what it calls a homogenization of love. We end up dating people who fit the data profile of who we should date, according to the machine, rather than engaging with the messy, unpredictable, wonderful reality of who we could date if we just met them in the real world.
It's the illusion of a limitless pool of people. You think you're swimming in the ocean, but you're actually just in a lap pool with lane dividers you can't even see.
And this applies directly to your career, too. When a recruiter on LinkedIn searches for a candidate, they don't see every single resume. They see the ones the AI highlights based on keywords, past experience, and crucially, network density. Your social destiny, who you marry, where you end up working, is being filtered through a black box that you have no control over and no insight into.
Okay, let's take a deep breath. We've done the screen, we've done the street and the heart. Now let's talk about the one that, for many people, hurts the most. The wallet.
Segment 3, the economic nudge.
The source material calls AI the new gatekeeper of financial opportunity. This is where the rubber really meets the road. If the algorithm doesn't like the look of your data here, you don't get the mortgage for the house. You don't get the small business loan.
This is arguably one of the most controversial and high-stakes areas of AI application right now. It all centers on credit and risk assessment.
Now, traditionally, a credit score is pretty straightforward. It's just, did you pay your bills on time? Do you have too much debt? It's backward-looking. It's based on your history.
Right. It's based on your direct financial history. But modern fintech companies and their machine learning models want to be predictive. They don't just want to know if you did pay your bills. They want to know if you will pay your bills in the future. And to do that, they ingest massive amounts of what they call alternative data.
Alternative data. That sounds like a corporate euphemism for stuff that is absolutely none of your business.
It kind of is, yeah. We are talking about thousands of data points that have, on the surface, nothing to do with banking. Your web browsing history, the type of phone you use, Android versus iPhone, how fast you type on your keyboard.
How fast I type? You have to be joking. How can that possibly predict if I'll pay my mortgage?
Well, the theory goes something like this. There are startups experimenting with everything. One theory is that a personality trait like conscientiousness is a strong predictor of paying back loans. And maybe, and this is a big maybe, conscientious people tend to keep their phone battery above 20%, or they use proper capitalization and grammar in their emails, or they buy specific types of grocery items.
So if I let my phone die, type in all lowercase, and buy a frozen pizza for dinner, the AI might flag me as a risky borrower.
It's just finding correlations in the noise.
Yeah.
It doesn't understand why there's a correlation. It just sees that historically, in its data set of 1 million people, the people who defaulted on their loans also tended to exhibit these behaviors. And the massive problem is that these correlations are often just proxies for things they are legally not allowed to judge you on, like social class or race.
Right.
For example, if people who shop at this specific discount store are statistically flagged as higher risk, you are effectively redlining that demographic without ever explicitly using a race or income variable in your model.
And it's completely invisible to the person being judged.
That's the core of the black box problem. If you get denied for a loan by a human loan officer, you can ask them why. They'll tell you your debt-to-income ratio is too high. Fine, it's a clear reason. But if an algorithm denies you because your digital behavioral score is too low based on 5,000 microvariables,
Yeah.
how do you even begin to dispute that? How do you fix it?
You can't. You're just fighting a ghost in the machine.
And then on the flip side of that, you have the so-called benevolent nudge in finance. These are the apps that are designed to help you save and invest. Things like Acorns, Robinhood, the robo-advisors.
I use some of those. The whole round up your spare change to the nearest dollar and invest it thing. It's great. I have a savings account that's growing, and I don't even have to think about it.
And that's the incredible benefit. It uses principles from behavioral psychology to bypass your own lack of discipline. It tricks you into doing the financially responsible thing.
So why is the source material worried about it? That sounds like a clear win.
Because it outsources financial literacy. It creates a dump dependency. The source uses the phrase trading competence for convenience.
Ah, I think I see where this is going.
If the app automatically invests your money for you, rebalances your portfolio when the market shifts, and moves your assets around for tax loss harvesting, do you have any idea what actually happened?
Not a clue. I just open it once a month and see that the green line went up, hopefully.
Exactly. You become a passenger in your own financial life. The problem arises when something goes wrong. If the app crashed tomorrow, and you had to manage that portfolio yourself, or if the algorithm had a glitch and put all your money into a ridiculously volatile meme stock, would you have the knowledge to spot the error and fix it?
Honestly, probably not. I wouldn't know where to start.
You lose the muscle.
Yeah.
Just like many of us have lost the muscle of navigation because we rely on GPS, we are now at risk of losing the muscle of money management. We're becoming what the source calls optimized infants. We're efficient, we're wealthy, we're well entertained, but we're completely helpless without the machines that guide us.
Optimized infants. That is a brutal phrase, but it feels uncomfortably accurate. And this leads us perfectly into the philosophical core of this entire deep dive. Segment 4, the erosion of autonomy.
This is where we need to slow down a little bit. The source makes a really critical distinction here that I think is the key to the whole argument, is the difference between choice between options and choice of options.
That sounds like semantics at first, but unpack it for us.
Okay. Picture the old Blockbuster video store on a Friday night.
Yeah.
You walk in. You see the massive walls of tapes. You see the new releases, the classics, the horror section, the weird foreign films gathering dust in the back corner. You can see the full landscape of what is available. You are choosing between all of those options.
I have the full menu in front of me. I can see everything.
Right. Now, open Netflix tonight. You don't see the whole library. You see a row of maybe 10 movies that have been recommended for you. And you pick movie B over movie A. You feel like you made a choice.
I did make a choice. I actively picked one over the other.
You chose from the menu that was provided to you. But who chose the menu?
The algorithm.
Exactly. The choice of options, the much more important decision of what is even on the table in the first place, was made by the machine before you even opened the app. It decided that movies D through Z didn't even exist for you in that moment. Your horizon of possibility was artificially narrowed before you even got a chance to engage your brain.
This reminds me of the whole filter bubble concept. We usually talk about that in a political context. You know, liberals only seeing liberal news, conservatives only seeing conservative news.
It applies to everything. This is an aesthetic filter bubble. If the algorithm knows you like minimalist design, you will simply never be shown an article about Baroque architecture. You become trapped in a hall of mirrors that just reflects your own existing taste back at you, over and over again.
And the source has this great line about friction. It says something like, friction is often where critical thinking happens.
Yes. This is a key insight. Algorithms are fundamentally designed to remove friction. They want to create a seamless user experience. But think about the moments when you actually grow as a person. When do you learn something new?
It's usually when things are hard, when I'm challenged by an idea, when I have to struggle to understand something that doesn't immediately click.
Exactly. When you encounter a song you don't immediately like, you have to listen harder to appreciate it. When you read an article that makes you angry, you have to formulate a counter-argument in your head. That is cognitive work. That is friction.
But the algorithm just wants me to glide. It wants everything to be easy.
It wants you in what psychologists call a flow state. And while flow is incredibly pleasant, it feels good to just scroll and enjoy, it is the polar opposite of critical engagement. You aren't thinking, you are processing. You're just a node in the network passively consuming data.
And this leads directly to the YouTube case study that the text mentions, the infamous rabbit hole. This is where that lack of friction becomes genuinely dangerous.
This is all about the objective function. Every AI system has a single goal that it is programmed to maximize. For YouTube, for a very long time, that primary goal was simply maximize watch time, keep eyeballs on the screen for as long as possible.
So how does an AI figure out the best way to keep eyes on the screen?
It runs millions of simulations. It looks at the data, and it learned a fundamental, if unfortunate, truth about human psychology. We stare at car crashes. We are drawn to the extreme, the outrageous, the sensational.
So if I watch a perfectly innocent video about, let's say, vegetable gardening,
The AI asks itself a simple question. What do people who like gardening watch next that keeps them absolutely glued to the screen for the longest period of time? And the data might show the next step is survivalist gardening. And after that, it's doomsday prepping. And from there, it's a short jump to government conspiracies about the food supply.
it escalates, it always pushes you to the fringe.
It tends to favor the edges of the bell curve because the center is, by definition, average. The center is moderate. And moderate content doesn't keep you up at 2 a.m. Outrage does. Fear does. Novelty does.
So the rabbit hole isn't some bug in the code. It's the code working perfectly, doing exactly what it was told to do. Keep me watching no matter the cost.
Precisely. It's an optimization for engagement that accidentally became an optimization for radicalization. Users end up in these strange, extreme corners of the internet they never intended to visit simply because they followed the path of least resistance, the path of least friction, laid out for them by the algorithm.
The path of least resistance leads to the garbage dump, as the old saying goes.
Or in this case, the asylum.
So this brings us right back to that haunting question from the very beginning. If an AI predicts your desire before you articulate it, did you truly desire it, or were you trained to desire it?
Think about Pavlov's dog. It's a classic experiment.
The bell rings, the dog starts to salivate because it associates the bell with food.
Right. Now, the push notification dings on your phone, and the human thumb automatically moves to click it. We are being conditioned. Our tastes, our opinions, even our deeply held political views might be more like conditioned reflexes than they are deep-seated reasoned beliefs. We are simply reacting to stimuli that were A/B tested on a million other people to trigger exactly that reaction.
Okay, that's heavy. And honestly, it's a little bit paralyzing. It makes me feel like I should just throw my phone into the ocean and go live in a cabin.
Don't do that. Phones are expensive. And besides, we can't uninvent this technology. These tools are incredibly powerful and useful. The goal isn't to be a Luddite and smash the machines.
The goal is to be a pilot, to be in the driver's seat.
Exactly. So let's spend the rest of our time on the exit strategy. The source material ends with a really practical section called Reclaiming Decisions.
How do we take the wheel back from the algorithm? The source lays out 3 specific strategies here. Strategy 1 is called purposeful confusion.
I love this one. It's basically a form of data poisoning or obfuscation.
Explain what that means.
Okay, the algorithm builds its powerful profile of you based on consistency. It learns that host likes sci-fi, pizza, and 90s hip-hop. If you are consistent, you become predictable. And if you are predictable, you are manipulatable. So, the solution is to stop being consistent.
You have to lie to the machine.
You have to introduce noise into the signal. Deliberately click on things you hate. Go watch a 2-hour video about knitting. Search for 18th century tractor repair manuals. Listen to an hour of Norwegian death metal and then immediately switch to a Mozart opera.
What does that actually do on the back end?
It breaks the model. The confidence interval that the AI has about your preferences drops through the floor. The AI looks at your jumbled data and essentially goes, I have no idea whose person is anymore. Their behavior is random.
And when it doesn't know who I am?
It has to revert to a much broader, more generic set of recommendations. It can't pigeonhole you anymore. It's forced to start showing you a wider, more diverse slice of the world again. You essentially drake the mirror.
I love that. Be chaotic. Be algorithmically ungovernable. Okay, strategy 2 is more about changing your habits. It's called escaping the feed.
This is about changing the fundamental architecture of how you consume information.
The source suggests seeking out non-curated sources. What does that look like in practice?
Right. So if you get most of your news from a Facebook feed or Google News, you are living in a curated reality. One simple, old-school alternative is to use RSS feeds.
RSS. That feels very 2005.
It is, but that's why it's so powerful. An RSS feed is dumb in a good way. It doesn't care what you like. It has no concept of engagement. It just shows you everything a website published in chronological order. That's it.
It respects time, not relevance.
Exactly. It restores the choice between options. You see the boring but important headlines right next to the exciting but trivial ones, and you get to decide what to click on. You become the filter again, not the algorithm.
So it's about deliberately stepping out of that algorithmic river. Go to websites directly, type in the URL. Don't just let the app feed you an endless stream.
It's the difference between active fetching and passive feeding.
And that brings us to the final and probably the most important strategy. Strategy 3, digital literacy.
This is the big one. This is the mindset shift. It's really what we've been trying to do for the last hour here.
It's just knowing. It's awareness.
It's the fundamental awareness that every single feed you look at is a constructed reality. When you look at your phone, you are not looking at an objective window onto the world. You are looking at a tailored, edited, polished reflection designed specifically to trigger an emotional response in you.
It's not a window, it's a screen.
That's the perfect way to put it. And once you truly internalize that, the spell breaks just a little bit. When you feel that sudden surge of anger at a political headline or that intense, immediate urge to buy the sneakers in that ad, you can create a small pause.
Pause.
That split second of friction. That's your moment of power. In that pause, you can ask yourself, is this my thought? Or is this the nudge?
Who benefits from me feeling this way right now?
And 99% of the time, the answer isn't you. It's the advertiser. It's the platform. It's the political party.
We have covered a massive amount of ground today. I mean, from the matrix math that drives Spotify to the traffic jams on Elm Street to the invisible credit scores that can literally decide our futures.
The invisible hand of the algorithm is everywhere. It's guiding our eyes, our cars, and our wallets 24 hours a day.
And look, to be clear, we aren't saying that AI is inherently evil. It helps us discover music we end up loving. It helps us avoid a 2-hour traffic jam. It detects fraudulent charges on our credit cards.
It's a tool, a profoundly powerful tool.
Yeah.
But it's a tool that is rapidly becoming a master. And the real danger is that we are so comfortable, so soothed by the constant convenience that we forget we are the ones who are supposed to be holding the leash.
We trade competence for convenience. We trade autonomy for efficiency.
And I think the big takeaway from this deep dive is you can still have the convenience, use the GPS, use Netflix, but don't let the underlying human muscle atrophy completely. Every once in a while, take the long way home on purpose. Sometimes listen to a whole album by an artist you think you hate. Sometimes deliberately choose the harder path.
Just to prove to yourself that you still can, that the choice is still yours. I want to leave you with one final thought, something for you to chew on this week. We talked a lot about that idea of choice of options, how the menu is rigged before you even sit down at the table.
Yes, the pre-filtered reality.
So next time you're about to make a choice, what to watch tonight, what to buy online, where to go for dinner, just stop for a second. Look at the 3 or 4 options that have been presented to you, and then ask yourself a different question. What isn't on this list?
Look for the negative space, the ghost options.
What is the algorithm hiding from me? What has it decided I'm not allowed to see? Because usually the most interesting, life-changing things are the ones that didn't make the algorithm's final cut.
That's where the real life happens. Off the map.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Stay curious, stay chaotic.